What is going on YouTube? If you found this video, you are probably not in the greatest situation, but that's okay, because I promise you by the end of this video, you're going to be in a much happier mood and you're going to know exactly what to do. So you failed the test. And that happens to everyone, and that's absolutely normal. And in some cases, this may have been the first test you've ever failed, and you may want to panic and spin out of control and think it's the end of the world, but it's not. And I'm gonna tell you why, and we're gonna break it down. So I wanna look at 3 phases: what happened, what you can do now, and what you can do moving forward. So, what happened? Was the test material that hard? Did you not know that? And was it because you haven't been paying attention in class or doing the assigned readings? Or was the test format different? Are you better at multiple choice, for example, and the test was all short answer, and you really didn't quite know how to answer those questions? Was it test anxiety? Did you sit down and look at that test really ready, and you remembered everything you studied, and as soon as you looked at that first question, everything just disappeared? Or were you just not prepared? Did you not study at all? Did you think you could cram, do an all-nighter, and it just didn't work out the way you wanted to? And this is important. You need to know what happened, because that's when we move into the next phase of what can you do now. And I said this at the beginning, but first and foremost, do not panic. It's not the end of the world, it's not the end of the class, and it's most likely not the end of your college career. It may feel like that, and it may feel like because you failed this first test, you're going to fail future tests, and that's not true. So look at this test and this test alone, and take an inventory on what actually happened, and how do you move forward with that. So if you look at what happened, let's say it's a combination. Let's say you struggled with the questions, you are more comfortable with multiple choice, but it was short answer, and you didn't really know how to study for this test. What do? I say you need to go talk to your instructor. And I get it, that's very difficult. We as humans, we don't really like to ask for help. We're not very comfortable asking for help, especially in moments like this. It's a moment of being vulnerable, and I know you think the faculty and your instructors are gonna reprimand you for not doing well, and that's not the case at all. In fact, they actually want you to come when you need help. They want you to come ask those questions. Because think from this perspective, if you're getting poor test scores, you're not speaking up and you're not asking questions and you're not letting the instructors know that you're struggling, what are they gonna think? They're not gonna know that you're trying. They're gonna think that you don't care. So this is a first step in building that relationship with your instructor and also getting the help that you need. So go ask them. Oftentimes, so it depends. We'll say it depends on the class and it depends on the instructor. What will happen is instructors will usually talk about the general concepts in the test and say, you know, this is how you should approach in the future. These are the concepts you should look at. Don't rely on the reading in the chapters from the textbook too much. Look at the online modules, look at the supplemental stuff that I post. That's how you can better prepare for the test. There are also instructors who will sit down with you and they will go through the test question by question and address your concerns and tell you what you got wrong. And this can be helpful. Either way is helpful, but going through each question can be helpful, especially if you're trying to understand a concept and it's very nuanced and specific and you can't quite make the jump to differentiate between 2 options to find the best answer. Another thing I would recommend is talking to your classmates. How did they study for this test? What did they do? And what did they do differently? Because they could have done the same study techniques that you employed, and they could have done better. And maybe you just need to put more time into that, or maybe they did something totally different. And by talking to them, they may invite you to join their study group, or they may quiz you throughout the week and try to help you be better. Because after all, you are all in this together. Now the last phase is, what are you gonna do with all of this? Well, for starters, I would say, put more time into studying. And I know that sounds simple, but it's very difficult to do, especially when we're trying to learn how to manage our time with classes and work and family and just trying to enjoy life. Studying falls to the wayside because it's the easiest thing to sacrifice when we're short on time. But what happens is we tend to cram, and cramming doesn't work. It may get you 25% there, and it's all in your short-term memory, but it's not gonna last, and it's not gonna carry you through a lot of these major exams, especially your finals. So I would say spread the studying out. So as soon as you know after you finished one exam and you're moving into the next exam, you'll know you have a time frame to study. So I would break down small chunks. Maybe it's 1 hour every night, or maybe it's 1 hour every other night. Just start to, if you can, rewatch lectures, review your lecture notes, do the supplemental assignments, do the readings. But when it's spread out across multiple weeks, it's not as much work as if you were trying to pull an all-nighter. And as it's spread out, it gives your brain a break, and it gives your brain time to synthesize everything that you're learning so it can be stored in long-term memory. And you can also take your time so it will not feel as overwhelming. The other thing to do is look at how you study. Maybe you need to study differently. Are you someone who just writes down the notes and then you look for that simple memorization? Maybe you need to do something different. Are you an auditory learner? Do you need to actually record the lectures and then listen to them when you're driving to and from class or when you're going to the gym, which doesn't sound too fun. So let's just say when you're going for a walk, you can listen to those lectures. Do you need to make flashcards? Do you need to have someone else quiz you? Look for the study techniques that resonate with you the most, because maybe you're struggling with these exams because you don't know how to study correctly, or rather, you don't know how to study that fits you best. And the last thing that I would say, and this is to address the test anxiety, and this is very, very common. Everyone experiences this in some form. Slow down and relax. There are breathing techniques that you can find online that will help you get into a calmer state. I would avoid caffeine. I know I talked to one student who said, I'm no longer taking caffeine before tests because when I do, I get too jittery and that's when the anxiety kicks in. So consider that Starbucks after the test and try to focus and get a good night's rest the night before so you already have the energy that you need going into that test. The other thing you could try is mindfulness meditation, and research has shown that at least 2 weeks of consistent mindfulness meditation has improved your ability or one's ability to focus better, because there may be a lot of distractions as well and you just need to concentrate. So meditation is a great tip in improving your ability to focus on the test. And I would also say that self-talk makes a huge difference as well. When you sit down and that doubt starts to creep in and you can feel your heart rate rising, just remember the work that you've put in. You've spent weeks studying. You've tried different techniques. You've talked to your instructors. You've talked to your classmates. You know this, and you've got this. You've made it this far. Keep telling yourself that, and ultimately your brain will start to relax and you will start to enjoy the challenge of recalling that information. So I hope this really helped. I hope it gave you some different perspectives to consider. I always encourage you to go talk to your instructors, and I really hope this makes a difference for your next and your future exams. And as always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments, and I will see you next time.